What's going on, guys? Stein back with another video. In this video I'm going to talk about reading and why you need to start reading and why you should read and all of that sort. So the very first thing I'm going to touch on is new ideas that you can implement immediately into your life. So when you read a book, you come across new ideas, and when you get those ideas, you can immediately incorporate them into life. And this is part of the reason why, once I realized this, that how the school system basically forces us to read books that we don't necessarily want to read, but we have to read them. So we're not comprehending the information as well as if, say, a subject you actually want to improve on, you can go to the bookstore or Amazon.com and buy the book, and you can find out anything you want, and this is actually an area of your life you actually want to improve on, unlike in school where you're forced to read the book that the teacher tells you need to read. So that would be the first thing, new ideas incorporated in your life, so that way you can immediately apply them and immediately make your life better. Because going on to the second point, because knowledge is power. So knowledge is power, and applied knowledge is power. There are a lot of things we have no idea about if you don't start reading books. And like I talked about before, there are two parts. They're reading the book, and that is the knowledge, and then there's the actual experience. So there's experience, and then there's also the knowledge. So when you combine those together, you will make it far, because those are the two parts that advance us as humans and make us better. So if you really want to grow, then the more information you have, the better off you will be, because there's a lot of things we just don't know, but these authors have put years into these books, and you can buy it for like $10, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion of how much work they put in. You only get it for $10-20, and it's an amazing deal of what you get out of the book for what you pay. So the third thing I'm going to touch on is the more you learn, the more you earn. And this is just like knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have, the better off you'll be. The more you learn, the better off you'll be. And so there's really no negative to learning, other than you're doing nothing but sitting there with the book in your hand, but the benefits far outweigh the negatives. And the more you learn, the more money you make, the more information you'll have, the more everything will just be better. Everything will improve when you have more information. So it's not for everyone, but it's definitely worked for me. Some people don't read at all and they're fine, but in my mind, I want to read as much as I can, get as much information as I can, so I can know more about what's actually going on, instead of just being clueless of, okay, why am I doing this? Well, this is why you're doing it. And I've touched on this before. Being curious and knowing information is going to be a plus. So the fourth thing, Tai Lopez. He would choose books over social media. If you're not familiar with Tai Lopez, he is the one who came up with the 4 pillars of happiness, or the 4 pillars of the good life. He calls it health, wealth, love, happiness. I've talked about this in one of my other videos, my very first video. So he says that he would choose books over social media every single day. So a lot of times we get our information from social media, and we pull up Instagram, Twitter, whatever you use for social media, and you will get an abundance of information through social media instead of getting your information through books. Some books are irrelevant, so I can understand that, but for the most part, they are relevant, and that could be the only downside to reading, is some of it can not be relevant. But that's why I always check the author. I check when it was published, like knowing about the author, who he is. And Tai Lopez also touches on, you can learn about people that have passed away. So Gandhi, for example, Steve Jobs, Kobe Bryant, they all have books. They all have books that they're not alive anymore, but they all have books that have an abundance of good information that you can read about and learn about their lives, and that way you can learn their information so you can apply it to your life. So that'd be the fourth thing: choosing books over social media. So the fifth thing: positive thoughts into your mind. When you read a book, I'm talking about a non-fiction book, by the way, not a fiction book. When you read non-fiction books, a book that you can immediately implement in your life, and a book that will make you better, the author puts positive thoughts into your brain. The author's not going to put any negative thoughts in the book, or else they wouldn't get any sellers on the book. But anyways, the author is going to put out positive thoughts into the book, and you read it, and that's going straight in your brain. And positive and negative, I've talked about this before. Having positive thoughts throughout your, that's the key to life, is literally thinking positive on every moment. Like, I haven't figured everything out, but I know a little bit, and that is 100% the truth that I keep coming along. That there's two sides. There's positive and there's negative. And if you think positive, you're going to get something. But if you think positive, you're always going to, okay, how can I get better? How can I improve? If I don't like this, how can I get out of it? What can I do? What can I do? How can I get better? Instead of the negative, oh, this sucks, complaining all the time. You're not getting better that way. So having positive thoughts in your brain will massively improve your life. And books do that when the author tells you exactly what to do and just implements it straight into your brain. It goes right here in your brain. So the last thing I will touch on is, you don't know how much you don't know. Books give you a massive amount of information that you had no idea about. And that's the thing about us human beings. Most of the time we are ignorant and we think we know it all, and that just stems from having a big ego and thinking you know everything. But the real truth is, we really don't know anything at all, and that's the key to having. The key is, you don't know. I know nothing. I read this in a book. I did read this in a book of, I think it was Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, said that, one of his quotes, or what he lives by is, I know nothing. And that is 100% true, because on a day-to-day basis, you always want to learn. You always want to grow. And this is reading, but this doesn't have to just be reading, but reading is probably an immediate way to do this that can improve you. Obviously, it can be the gym. The second thing is reading, and the third thing is relationships. I like to always stem it back to those three: health, wealth, relationships, and that's how I basically stem my life on those three pillars. So you don't know what you don't know until read about it. So keep reading, stay improving, find books, whoever you look up to, get a book on them, and improve your life.